Hi, and welcome to Reed's Audio Reading. I'm Reed, and I hope you enjoy my channel. Today I'll be reading the adventure The Standing Stone 3rd Edition, specifically scenes 13 to 14 and the conclusion. This adventure was written by John D. Radcliffe. Scene 13 The Horseman's Rest. Eventually, the Pixies may tire of their running battle with the horseman and seek to track him to his lair. This is made difficult by his slipping in and out of his etherealness in his comings and goings. But by process of elimination, they should eventually be able to pinpoint the tarn beneath Red Horse Hill as his body's last resting place. Read the following text to the players when the Pixies reach the tarn. A forbidding place, this tarn. The water is murky from dissolved clay and chalk, giving it a color unpleasantly like diluted blood. There's a foul smell of mud and swamp gas in the air, stagnant and wet with an undertone of death and rot. The hill above is covered with short, tough grass, but the borders of the tarn are bare clay. There is no sign of pond life, no ripples of frogs or fish, no buzzing insects, no weeds or turtle heads poking above the water. Creature. When the characters approach, the horseman appears again. They do not see him approach, he's suddenly just there. This time he does not attack, but merely sits atop his horse, watching them, apparently waiting their next move. If they insist on engaging him, he charges into battle, using every power he possesses. See Scene 9. But he does not initiate conflict here even if they've battled before. Note, if one of Dyson's allies accompanies the PCs, he or she does everything possible to provoke a fight and to prevent the PCs from discovering what's hidden in the lake. If they wait to see what he does, he rides slowly across the lake, his steed's hooves making little plock, plock noises with each step. Reaching a point about 30 feet offshore, he turns to face them, then makes a kind of a salute with his left hand and sinks slowly beneath the surface. A knowledge religion check, DC 15, can identify this as a holy sign among the faithful of Pelor. Characters who investigate the spot where he sank can, with a search check, DC 20, find his bones and the bones of his warhorse. Only the head is missing, Henwin fed it to her bay, lest anyone try to raise him from the dead. His armor and gear are rusted and ruined, but still show signs of the dozens of stab wounds that killed him. Only the golden holy symbol, Pelor's golden sunburst he wore on a simple chain around his neck, remains uncorrupted. PCs who have accepted the villager's story now have a conundrum. Why would an evil ghost wear a lawful good holy symbol? Why would a paladin's ghost ride around attacking villagers? Just who are the good guys here? Burying or destroying the paladin's remains lays his ghost to rest. The PC should receive the full XP reward for laying the ghost to rest, whether by giving him proper burial if they are well disposed towards him, or by destroying the bones if they still think he's the enemy. Development. Crafty PCs may decide to delay this encounter in order to get the horseman to join them in one or more additional scenes. He certainly joins them in riding to the village, but still cannot enter the area bounded by stone circles without discomporting for the day. He could, however, take part in an attack against the Habes or raid on the chapel, and of course he could patrol its perimeter, preventing any of the fox human villagers from escaping. He does not enter the barrow, doing so represents a departure from his true mission, and any attack on the Fae reawakens his hostility towards the player characters. These are among the innocents he died trying to help. Scene 14. Showdown. This scene, the true climax of the adventure, only takes place if the player characters eventually figure out that they have been used, duped by the real villains of the piece into doing their dirty work for them. That should make them very angry. With righteous indignation, they probably come stalking right into town to demand a reckoning. Of course, assuming that Dyson has been keeping a pretty close watch on the PCs via his spy in their midst and also the ever lurking Habes, he should have a pretty good idea when the jig is up, at which point he orders Tarby slain, and Murdos as well, if he survived their earlier assassination attempt. As the PCs approach, he puts his plan into action. Read the following text to the players. As you enter Ossington, you can't help noticing that the town is strangely quiet. No one moves about, and only a lonely breeze ruffles through the grass between the cottages. Then suddenly, the silence is broken as screaming villagers pour forth out of the buildings, brandishing clubs and knives. It looks like the entire town has massed to kill you. Creatures, nearly half, being 30, of the fox human and fox halfling villagers are present in the knob. The rest have been sent out of town to scatter among neighboring towns and continue to foment trouble. Dyson and Henwin are on top of Dyson's tower, along with the cuckoo if he isn't accompanying the PCs. If Tully isn't with the PCs, she hides among the mob of villagers. Tactics. Villagers immediately mob any PCs entering Ossington, much like in scene 4. This time, however, the villagers carry clubs and daggers. They can't do much harm to the PCs except for an occasional lucky attack, but they slow them and create confusion. This allows Tully to slip up to a PC and attack. Since every PC should have a number of attackers, a flank attack, and thus a sneak attack, should be easy to achieve. Assuming there is time before the PCs arrive, Dyson has cast protection from arrows and mage armor on himself. Henwin has cast barkskin, magic vestment, and shield other on Dyson. Dyson's AC is now 20, plus 1 dex, plus 4 armor, plus 3 natural armor, plus 1 enchantment, plus 1 deflection. He has a plus 1 resistance bonus to saves and damage reduction, 10 slash plus 1 against ranged weapons, and half of all damage inflicted upon him during the fight is transferred to Henwin. When the fight truly begins, Dyson casts Shield, which bumps his AC up to 27. Then he begins raining summoned monsters. He likes howlers, cones of cold, fireballs, webs, and magic missiles down upon the PCs. During the battle, Henwin uses her spells to support and heal Dyson, only fighting when necessary. The Cuckoo uses his bardic music to inspire courage for Dyson and his allies, not for the PCs, unless a PC bard is using bardic music as well, in which case he uses countersong. Fancying himself more of a voyeur than a participant, he won't take part in physical combat. Should any of the PCs attack him, he changes to Vrock form, releases a mass of spores, and flies away, laughing at the PCs. Development. If the party retreats, Dyson sends Tully, if she survives, to follow them and report back on their activities. He's not stupid enough to think that the PCs won't return. The PCs may head to Dyson's tower either during or after the battle. Refer to scenes 4 and 7 for information about the location. If Dyson fears that the PCs may defeat him, he has Henwin send a flaming sphere into his study and destroy the papers kept there, then tries to use Dimension Door to escape the Throp, taking Henwin with him if possible. If the heroes pursue the Cuckoo as he flies away, he uses Teleport without error to escape to a safe place miles distant, not to return to Ossington for many years. As much as the PCs may want vengeance upon the Cuckoo, the Rock won't stick around for a fight. Ad hoc XP adjustment. Due to the formidable situation, the preparation of the NPCs, plus the crowded conditions, this encounter should award 125% of the normal XP. However, slaying the villagers shouldn't award any XP. They don't present a real threat to the PCs. Also, the PCs shouldn't get any XP for the Cuckoo unless they actually defeat him in combat, or inflict so much damage that he must flee to protect himself rather than from boredom. Conclusions. Now's the time to wrap up all those loose ends. Did the player characters realize what was going on, or did they accept the town folks' explanation? First option. Our work here is done. Did they kill the elves, destroy the horsemen, plunder the barrow, and put all its inhabitants to the sword? Then they can ride back to Ossington, report to Dyson, and accept his grateful thanks for a job well done. He rewards them with some minor magic items, a scroll, and a potion or two, all in keeping with his purported low level. If the PCs befriended any of the townspeople, such as Tanashalu from Scene 2, that NPC may ask to join them in their travels. In this turn of events, the PCs never solve the mystery, but leave with a virtuous sense of having stopped the bad guys, garnered some pretty neat loot, or at least a modicum of treasure, and helped those who couldn't help themselves, all in a day's work. Second option, we gave it our best shot. It's quite possible that the player characters attack Ossington but fail to defeat Dyson and his minions, especially if the PCs and any NPC allies are not well prepared going into the fight battle. For example, if they fail to rest and regain spells and hit points before triggering the encounter. If they opt to withdraw when the fight turns against them, escape should be difficult but not impossible. The fox humans are unskilled, if fanatical warriors, and should do little more than slow them down. More problematic are attacks from Dyson's summoned monsters, his spells, and Tully's sneak attacks, all of which continue as long as any good target offers itself. If the PCs begin to retreat, Dyson's forces concentrate on disabling or killing one PC or NPC ally at a time to ensure that the survivors cannot mount as strong an offense again. Characters who manage to reach the edge of the forest are safe. The villains, wary of possible ambush, break off any pursuit. Once the PCs are out of sight, Dyson evacuates the Throp, destroying most of the evidence of his activities here. If pressed for time, he abandons the village outright, killing any fox humans who are too injured to travel. Otherwise, he leaves behind some as a decoy to make PCs think the village is still inhabited. He will not leave behind a fallen cohort, instead hoping to have her healed or raised by some of his fiendish allies. Protected by a pack of Habes who come in answer to Henwin's call, he travels nonstop throughout the remainder of the day and all that night, or vice versa, as case may be, clearing the forest some 30 hours later. Then he and his minions effectively disappear, making good use of his contacts in the nearest town to vanish from sight, until the DM is ready for one or more of them to resurface in some future adventure. Third option, the one that got away. If the player characters figured out that Dyson was the real troublemaker and the other threats were mere distractions, they'll no doubt want to know just what he was up to. Quick thinking, or a lucky break on the NPC's part, can rescue what's left of Dyson's papers from the burning room. They're badly damaged, but a Knowledge Arcana check, DC 20, and a good working knowledge of the Abyssal language enables a reader of the remaining scraps to work out that Dyson had discovered a method of transforming animals into people. The details are lost, so the spell cannot be reconstructed from these fragments. It also becomes clear from the remnants of burned correspondences that Dyson had contacts in cities both major and minor throughout the land, the only hint that he was part of some far larger conspiracy. None of his contacts are identified, with the exception of a sole surviving reference to the Cathazar, who was apparently someone or something with authority over them. Loose ends. Dyson and Henwin escape. They make themselves scarce for a while, but the PCs now have a nemesis that can return in future adventures. Let them devote as much time as they like to hunting down any of this elusive group. Following up on such leads can provide the springboard to many future adventures. The Cuckoo probably won't reappear anytime soon, since he has plenty of other plots brewing. Did the PCs find the clue regarding the Cathazar and its hints of a wider conspiracy? If so, local rulers should be warned something is up, and demonic agents may be in place all across the land. The DM should feel free to follow this up or not, whichever works best for his or her campaign. After all, it could be a final bit of mystification by Dyson, designed to have them looking suspiciously under every rock rather than coming after him with blood in their eyes. Did any of the fox humans survive? For instance, did the PCs overtake the group sent down the road before the final assault, all of whom surrender and beg piteously rather than fight a hopeless battle without direct orders from their master? If so, what do the PCs do with them? Removed from Dyson's influence, they're not evil. He has simply taken neutral enemies, boosted their intelligence, and fostered all their worst traits. With patience, some of the damage can be undone, assuming the player characters are interested enough to try. If the PCs show little interest, have someone else, Lord Caraway, a religious order, the nearest archdruid, take over responsibility for the fox humans. Did the player characters help precipitate on elf human war? Eventually, the elven queen beyond the forest to the west learns of these events and takes a very dim view of adventurers who helped wipe out a wild elf population, complete with allied fae. The atrocities visited upon the Grugash settlement, once they become known, may inflame opinion and lead to real trouble. These events are beyond the scope of this adventure, but being in the elves' disfavor can only mean trouble. The player characters may want to make reparations or expiations, undertaking some difficult task to win forgiveness for their error. Thank you for listening to this audio reading of The Standing Stone 3rd edition, specifically scenes 13 to 14 and the conclusion. I hope you enjoyed and have a great day. Best regards, Reed.